Hello, I am Julie Green. I am the manager of marketing and communications here with Content Bacon, and I am with Aly Young of Learning Lab. And we are here to talk about some schooling for the next year. So happy to have you with us, Allison.
Thank you. I'm excited to share all the exciting things in this weird, uncertain time.
Well, speaking of weird and uncertain, Broward County has just released its school calendar and all of the information for parents who are looking into the 2021 school year and what that looks like for their kids and what that looks like for teachers and all of that encompassing, which brings us to today. So talk to us a little bit about what the county released and what that does mean for the school year next year.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, the county has been releasing information over the past couple weeks. Typically every Tuesday. Last week it was Wednesday. The board has live streamed board meetings for the whole county. And so those meetings have been definitely giving some information, not enough information, and nothing is finalized. So with 3 weeks till school starts, we know that we are most likely going to have an 100% virtual online learning platform for all Broward County students, kindergarten through 12th grade. But again, I spoke to some principals this morning at some of the local schools that I have relationships with, and some of those principals were still kind of like, yeah, we think that's what's happening. We're pretty sure that's what's happening, but there's nothing 100% right now. Nothing is set in stone. That being said, we obviously do know that that is most likely the route that we're going to be heading down, and we have to be, for me and my business and my students and the families I work with, I'm taking every measure to be as proactive as possible, knowing that that's most likely what's going to be happening. So the numbers are not going down. And basically the idea is that this is the plan until the numbers go down, until phase 2, until January. I've heard all those different things. So we're just kind of putting things into place and getting our ducks in a row with the information that we have, which isn't that much. Last week, there was a new, very interesting schedule proposed, and the schedule was actually a further breakdown of what the day is going to look like. So in the spring semester, March through May, the students had, teachers were thrown into this, kids were thrown into this, parents were thrown into this. There was no protocol, there was no consistency. Some teachers were doing something different than the other teacher. And there was really a lot of complaints from parents that there wasn't enough structure, there wasn't enough instruction, and there wasn't enough interaction with their teachers. So now it seems as though the pendulum has swung to the complete other side. There is nothing in between. There's no gray. Based on what they proposed last week, it is a very structured daily calendar that is going to expect and mandate that kids as young as kindergarten, so these are 5-year-olds, are going to be expected to log into their computer at 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday. And they're going to be expected to log into virtual sessions with their teachers from 8 to 2 every single day. Wow. I don't know if you've ever met a 5-year-old or even an 8-year-old, 5 to 8, okay? They don't have the attention span for that. They don't have the logistical technology training for that. They may face one roadblock and just say, I'm not doing this. And then we have, it's a spiral. Any parent can understand that. It seems like it may not be the best situation, but if this is what we're facing, we're prepared to handle it. So, like I said, I've been talking to a lot of local principals and just finding out, based on that proposed schedule, what does that look like for the students at their school. And they're like, yeah, that's it. That's pretty much what we're going to be doing. The middle schools are going to have a sort of a different spin on it, but very much those sessions are mandatory. So if the kids are logging on, logging off, I mean, if they're not there on all those sessions, they'll be penalized for that. They're mandatory.
So I have a lot of questions. The first one that comes to mind is just knowing you and knowing Learning Lab, your services and your entire business is structured to to cater to kids who struggle to learn in a normal, I'm going to say normal environment of school. So for your kids with ADHD and dyslexia, for many, if not most of those kids, that comes with IEPs and that comes with 504 plans. Have they released any information about what it looks like for kids with those plans, or do you have any kind of guidance for parents on how to address that moving into this virtual kind of environment for their kids?
So Broward County, again, has been very gray about that as well. Obviously, I know this is not easy. I'm not blaming anybody. This is really, really hard, and everybody's doing the very best that they can. They've mentioned things like opening certain centers for very specific ESE populations. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be dyslexia, SLD, and ADHD students. I feel like it's probably more geared to kids that have physical impairments or intellectual impairments. Again, we slip between the cracks, just the SLD and ADHD students. Within that framework of the schedule, it does offer times for intervention, small group. There will be time in the day that's carved out for that. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know how often it's going to happen. I don't know, obviously these kids do better face-to-face. And if that's just not practical right now or safe, then we have to do the best we can. What I do know is that it has to be done. It's against the law if they don't. And so there must be some plan. I do also follow a lot of advocates and learn a lot from what they can teach me about all of that and what the laws are and everything. I am not an advocate, but I try to follow a lot of them and learn from a lot of them, follow those webinars that they're giving right now. So what I've learned from them is it's all about the school. So obviously the district is going to mandate certain things. The state is going to mandate certain things. An IEP and a 504 plan is a legal document. So these things have to be done, but it's up to the school how they're going to do those things and provide those services and provide those accommodations. So what I've been telling a lot of my parents to do is to really call the school now, even though everybody's kind of crazy and scrambling, and say, hey, my son or my daughter, blah, 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 has an IEP for blah, blah, blah. What is your plan to meet those services? What is your plan to have accommodations? Another thing that I've learned from a lot of the advocates out there is that we have to think about how we're going to revise these IEPs and revise the 504 plans to accommodate e-learning. So their IEPs and their 504 plans are targeted to what this looks like in a brick and mortar location and what it looks like when you're face to face. Never did anybody ever imagine in their wildest dreams that they'd have to consider what those accommodations look like for a child with ADHD who's supposed to be, basically doing all this whole new level of a whole different skill set on the computer. So we have to figure out a way to stay on top of the schools and keep them aware that we have a whole new skill set here. We need a whole new revamped 504 plan, or we need to revise the IEP. But of course, all that testing and all that revision is absolutely backlogged since probably March. So it's definitely, being stuck between a rock and a hard place. But we provide a lot of support. We do provide support for our families. We provide collaboration and cooperation and communication with the teachers and the schools. And like I always tell parents, we speak the teacher lingo and the language of all the acronyms that everyone gets freaked out about. So we definitely will try our very, very best to respectively communicate and collaborate with the schools.
Good to know for parents and prospective parents too. So talk to me a little bit about how you've had to pivot. I know we talked about that in your first video that we did, but now even more so, I look at the services that Learning Lab, regularly or historically, I'll say, has provided of homework lab and in-school support. So what has changed for this school year? What do you want parents to know that they can come to you for, whether it's a little, a lot, or Aly, I'm in trouble. I need help.
Yeah, I actually had a meeting with a family today that just said, I never thought I would want to homeschool my kid, but I feel like I have to at this point. And so going back to your question, we are a learning center that focuses on children with ADHD and dyslexia and any child who struggles to show their brilliance in school. So any child that struggles in a traditional school setting, and e-learning also, which is so, you know, we are still going to offer all the amazing research and evidence-based intervention programs that we've always had. We're still going to have our reading interventions, our structured writing interventions, our hands-on multisensory math interventions. That's all still going to be there. And it'll be needed more than ever. Our homework lab is still going to be here, very much alive, because these kids are still going to have homework, especially the middle schoolers, absolutely. They're also going to have, listen, they're going to be logged in from 8 to 2, and then they have assignments to do independently. So those assignments may be incomplete. Those assignments may not be something that their parents know how to help them with, or just completely something that that child needs a multi-sensory hands-on reteach. So our homework lab will still be here, and basically our normal hours for the homework lab are 2:30 to 6:30. But now we may be adjusting that to fit the times that kids are logging off from their day. That being said, we are creating new programs. So our homeschool support program is still here, and it's something that people are going to need now more than ever as well. And the homeschool program, what that means, and people get freaked out by the word homeschool. Our homeschool, all that homeschool means is you're unenrolling your child from their school. You're enrolling them in a homeschool for, you know, as far as the state is involved. And yes, there's certain guidelines you have to follow. And yes, there's progress that must be shown and evaluations that must be documented. But we take over all of that. We're going to make sure that you keep the binder. We send you home with a pretty little binder with color-coded little tabs and sheet protectors. And we just give you the things to put in there so that you are in legal, you know, happy, good standing with the state. You're doing the right thing. And our goal is just to get you, excuse me, our goal is just to get that child the academic support they need, and they'll have no e-learning at all. They will not have to log on to any sort of portal. They will not have to log on to any sort of e-learning. We will be using our own amazing, innovative, research-based, you know, curriculum that does follow the Florida standards. So your child will be getting their needs met. They'll be getting their individualized instruction. They'll be getting accommodations. They'll be getting their services, and they'll be probably ahead of the game when things go back, when schools reopen. And when schools do reopen, the hope is that you re-enroll your child back into that traditional school. Or if you realize that your child really needs to get more caught up because they're really, really behind, maybe you keep them with us for the rest of the school year, put them back in next school year, and hopefully things go back to normal. So that's, and really what we're doing with that is offering more options. So it has traditionally been like a 5-hour program for kids that really need to be remediated and receive a high level of intervention one-on-one. But now we're kind of thinking, well, more people need this. Let's adapt, let's shift. Maybe we have more small groups. Maybe it's some intervention as needed. Maybe it's 3 hours for some people, 5 hours for others. So we're offering a lot more options for people, because people need flexibility, people need options. And there's not a lot of that available right now in the public school, unfortunately. So that is an alternative to the e-learning. If your child, you know, they just are not going to sit in front of a computer all day and they'll be penalized if they don't, this is another option. But don't let the word homeschool freak you out. It's not scary. It just means you get to have your own freedom to learn the way that your child is going to develop and learn as they go. So it's really, really a beautiful thing. And the other program that we're starting this year, well, that's not a new program. The new program is our e-learning lab support program. That's totally new, and it's totally, every day I'm like, oh my gosh, we can't do that. We have to do this. And oh, that's their new schedule. Okay, we have to do this. So, you know, ideally it would really be something that is to support the kids similar to how we were supporting them in the spring semester. However, because it's so structured, we are now realizing that e-learning support lab really needs to be Monday through Friday, either from 8 to 12:30. and they do their last session at home, or 8 to 2.
Okay.
And it's a full day. And we're making sure that they have a weekly learning plan with goals and checklists that's visual and digestible for them. We're making sure that we have accountability for them. We're monitoring and motivating them and keeping them on track. Obviously, so that's also a very small teacher to student ratio. It's 3 students to 1 teacher, because we aren't going to just be like a filing the kids in here and setting them up in a computer lab. We're actually going to be checking their work, making sure that before they submit anything, they really understood the assignment. And if they didn't, we're going to reteach it in a really cool, fun way. We're going to make sure that those kids are giving their best and putting forth effort. And the other thing that we always do is that we teach executive functioning skills in everything we do. So we're coaching them through how to plan, how to prioritize, how to organize themselves, how to organize their day, how to prioritize. If I have a project due, okay, how do I break this down? And time management, right? Because they have another session they have to log into, but they have something they have to get done. So it's really amazing how there's just so much ingrained in that program that's just going to happen. So we can't just have a bunch of kids in here. There's not a lot of space, obviously, for safety reasons, for quality reasons. We're going to make sure that these kids are doing their best and feeling super successful throughout their day. So another thing it's going to be interesting for these kids, as I mentioned before, with the new skill set, is learning the logistics of technology. So where do I go for this? Where do I log in for that? This assignment, I had students during the spring semester that their assignments were in multiple places. And if you didn't check all those places, you didn't know where it was. And, so that's a whole new skill set. And we're going to be coaching them through all that. And again, like I said before, communicating and collaborating with the schools, helping with 504 plans, helping with the IEPs, making sure that those things are being revised and reviewed and that they're being followed. So again, that program is ever changing because Broward County's ideas of what the day is going to look like is ever changing. But every week I've had a new version. Every time Broward County changes it, I'm like, okay, we're going to change it. Like, it just is what it is. And luckily my families have been so wonderful and so understanding that we're making a plan, because I'm very type A, I need a plan. I'm making a plan from a district that doesn't have a plan. So it's tough.
So as a parent who has had to make these decisions myself, I feel like it can change with hourly sometimes of what feels good and right. And so tell me a little bit about each family coming to the conclusion of, I want to be solely virtual for safety reasons, and then the families who recognize that their child needs that face-to-face, that, I'm saying one-on-one, if it's like little pods of 3 in 1. Talk to me a little bit about safety for those families who are wanting to come in and who are interested in these services that are in person, but are maybe like, well, is it safe?
It is. It's scary. And there's definitely a sense of risk that we all, a reasonable amount of risk we all have to take and weigh. And we do have every single service that I've mentioned to you today is available 100% virtual if that's what the family wants. We have some of our most amazing teachers working from home, working virtually, and we have, because of the whole spring semester, we threw ourselves into that and really came out experts, I would say. We know exactly how to do it. We're having all the same kind of connection and relationship building and multisensory instruction. So that is an option. However, because of the demographic and because of the students that we work with that have a lot of different learning disabilities, technology is just not something that works for them for many different reasons. A lot of our families and parents have felt that the face-to-face option is what they would prefer. So we have been open for our summer program since June 15th. We've been using shields, face shields that come all the way down here. And the reason we use the shield is because as reading teachers and teaching phonemic awareness, we need to kind of see their mouths. They need to see our mouths. So that's really important. But we also wear masks too. So if the kids are on a computer for a little while playing a game, or if we're doing math or something that doesn't require, major mouth looking at, major mouth viewing, then a mask is also worn in along with the shield. So we give kids a choice. They can wear the shield, the mask, or both. A lot of people like to wear both. I usually wear both. We also have sneeze guards that are in between if there's a student and teacher, there's a sneeze guard in between them. The students are socially distanced. If they are in the same room, they're 6 feet apart. We are taking temperatures every day. If a child is 100, anything really like even 100 flat out, we will send them home. We actually had to do that today. It was not fun because I knew he wasn't sick. And when he went home, he was fine, but and the parent understood. She's like, I appreciate that you're following the protocol. So anything 100 or over, we send that child home. We keep track of coughs. Literally, we have like a checklist, like, okay, this child coughed today. Did he cough, Tuesday and Thursday, the kid coughed a couple times. So we're tracking all of that. It's definitely something we take very seriously because we all have our own families. These children are like family to all of us. And so we don't take it lightly. We are sanitizing every single surface in between use. And if a child, has somebody in their family tested positive, we have a whole way that we're handling all of that. And we've had a very successful summer, knock on wood. And it's definitely proven that all of these precautions are working. So it's really nice to know that.
So obviously the in-person is going to be available for South Florida, Broward County, but
Yep.
What about your virtual? Is that open to anyone? Is that, somebody in North Dakota is watching us right now? Like, are you
Somebody in Africa could do it for sure. Yeah, anybody. Our virtual program is for anybody, anywhere. And our face-to-face option is as many, and as a parent, you make that choice for your kid and your family. If your kid is going to do better face-to-face. So, but yeah, both options are available, but space is limited.
This has just been so great. And I know that this is, even in a non-COVID-19 environment, I know that Learning Lab has been so instrumental for so many families. So what else do you want before we sign off for this video? What did we miss? What else do you want parents to know about this coming school year and what Learning Lab is gathering and planning and cultivating for the kids?
Yeah, I just want people to know that it's really important to be proactive under normal circumstances. And this is by no means a normal circumstance. Your child already missed the whole fourth quarter of school, basically. And a lot of parents took a lot of proactive measures. We had a very busy summer and we still are having a busy summer. So that's great because those families are, never lost a step. So that's really my advice to people is to be proactive. Don't wait until things are just exploding to get help. Your kids you want to start, August 19th is the first day of school. August 19th is when you need a very structured support foundation for you and your child. I know I hear this all the time. Parents will say, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a teacher. No, you're not. You're really good at your job. You're really good at, marketing and PR. You're really good at being a doctor. You're really good at this. You're not a teacher. We are. So you just at some point have to just let the experts take it and know that we're listening to the principals. We're listening to the Broward County School Board. We're listening to what our parents and families want and need, and we're creating programs to support that. So, I just think being proactive is the best thing I could say. Like, you just don't want your child to feel stressed. You don't want your family to feel stressed. And so before things start to feel yucky and everybody starts to, not get along so well, get the help before it gets like that. It doesn't need to be like that because this is already a stressful time for people. And we're here and we are, here for the community. We want to really help people to make this an easy transition.
Which segues nicely into my final and most important question. How do they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Okay, so you can call me at 954-260-0186, or you can email me at info@learninglabfl.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Again, guys, this is Aly Young. She is Learning Lab in South Florida, Broward County area. I'm Julie Green with Content Bacon. And Allison, thank you again so much. This has been
Thank you, Julie.